Okay, now that we got Dragon Flare out of the way, to move on to later projects. And I must apologize for any noise in the background that's coming from my two dogs. But anyway, the project stayed as Dragon Flare until about, I think around the end of grade 12, I had started developing it into its own original concept, which was of time and space, of course. And there were a number of stories I had written, and a few of them were interlinked, but none of them were actually part of the whole thing. I mean, you gotta practice when you're trying to develop ideas. And the series itself took a number of spins. And just to fill you in on some of those, I have my old writing book here, which is just full of weird shit. There were a few times when I was getting into, different types of belief systems and religions and studying them, and I found a lot of interesting things through my studies. So I started developing Of Time and Space into sort of more of a sci-fi feel in the story. But that's obviously changed back. I mean, there is still that sci-fi element overall, because there's strange technologies and things like that embedded in the story, but typically it's more like a sci-fi fantasy story, very similar to Star Wars in that manner. Maybe not so tech heavy, but very similar. So I'll just read a little bit about this. I had this outline. You saw some images for it in my artwork trailer. They were from the futuristic one. There were a lot of like Star Trek influences in there for the uniforms and things like that. But I had originally made this story called The Faith Battle, which was part of the Of Time and Space series, and it took place here on Earth in the year 2567. And I'll just read a bit from what I've written here. It says, humankind has long reached the stars at this point in history. After the horrific events of the Third and Fourth World Wars, the Earth became a wasteland. That was many centuries ago. The Earth is about to become habitable again, and the small segment of the galaxy owned by humans is devoid of other beings of intelligence. In that light, the Christian religions of Earth are now more than ever believed as they are more believed as the true religion. They began a worldwide ethnic reformation and created the Zhaitan order. The only other religions to survive this horror were the beliefs of Gaia or Earth, the Druids, the Wicca, and the shamans, and more. All escaped into the far reaches of space and hid from the fascism of the Zhaitan order. Now, with the Earth about to regain its habitation, a young Druid embarks on a journey to claim the Earth as Gaia, the land before. To claim the Earth as Gaian land before the Zhaitan order takes it first. He soon finds the odds greatly stacked against him, and soon finds that he cannot complete the task alone. With a band of allies at his side and an ever-growing resistance, can the small band of religious rebels take the motherland, or will the greedy and powerful Zhaitan order stop them and destroy the Earth once again? Okay, I know it's a little heavy, but this was around the time when the war in Iraq started, and I was pretty pissed off about that, so I made my own little story. Yeah. Anyway, and then it goes further. I rewrote another story. It's very similar. This one was called In the Eye of Light and Shadow, and it was also part of the Of Time and Space. I never dated anything in this one, but it says, in a future far from our time, religious terrorists rule the known galaxy. The Earth has been a toxic wasteland for years due to heavy wars. The terrorists known as the Zaitan Empire have begun a galactic ethnic cleansing. Most at risk are the pagan religions. Now a small band of pagans rush to their only chance for survival, Earth, in which they hope to unleash the great power of Gaia, which is the protector of life. The journey begins, the battle for life rages once more, and the gamble for all time will become the fate of the universe. And that was just a short one. I don't know. I kind of abandoned these ideas because I didn't want to be too politically involved in a controversy. So I went more back to my original ideas, which I think are better anyways. But there's still a factor of certain belief systems in the new story. But other than that, I mean, it's really not that bad. I mean, it would have been a pretty crazy, controversial book, but it's just not the kind of attention I wanted to have on the story. So that wraps up that little segment of the past. Now I'll get into my short story I was writing that was based on the time of time and space.